Welcome to the Desert Gridiron Gameplan, an epic coaches show talking all things Arizona high school football. And now, your hosts, James Poovey, Ed Cole, and Parker Gurash. Take it away, gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you into another edition of the Desert Gridiron Game Plan here on the Epic Sports Network, a weekly coaches show where we always enjoy visiting with players and coaches, not only from our Thursday Night Kickoff game coming up in just a couple of days from now, but also a featured, if you will, matchup that we will definitely be looking in on the Friday Night Red Zone, and one where we want to talk with the coaches and players involved in that game of the week. My name is James Poovey, coming to you live here alongside my broadcast partners, Mr. Ed Cole and Parker Gurash. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on with me again here tonight, and we got some exciting matchups and players and coaches to talk to here this evening.
Yeah, fellas, can you believe we're already in week 2 and we're got another episode of the DGG? As you mentioned, JP, we got a lot of great athletes and coaches on. We got a couple in the queue right now. So, Parker, let's go ahead and kick this thing off, brother. I'm excited for another hour of high school football talk.
Yeah, it's become one of my favorite things to do during my week, to hang out with you guys and talk to some great athletes and coaches around the state. And yeah, like both of you said, 4 great schools, great teams, and it's going to be a good show.
The first matchup we're going to talk about tonight is our game of the week on Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona, and that features the Ironwood Eagles at the Trevor G. Brown Bruins. We're going to bring in head coach Tony Stillings and quarterback now, Cavante Paul, joining us here on the program. Gentlemen, let me open up your microphones. Thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. And why don't you just do us a favor and tell us how the offseason has been. We saw you back in the late part of May, but we haven't seen you since, and we know you guys are excited for Thursday night to go up against those Bruins.
Yeah, the offseason's been great. We've been working real hard. We're really excited to start off. One of those things that it's been going on for so long. We're just happy to finally be able to play a football game and to kick it off with you guys on Thursday night.
Cavante, you got to be excited to move into a new position. Yeah, it's such a great season last year in your junior season, almost 700 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, 15 catches for nearly 200 yards. Now you're moving into the quarterback position. How have you adjusted, and what have you done to adjust and get ready for your first start at quarterback for Ironwood on Thursday?
I really give props to all my teammates. They've been there with me ever since I first made the switch. Because I've been able to throw the ball, but I've never really been a quarterback. But I give all the props to my teammates for helping me, and I owe it all to them this season, all of it.
Coach, one thing I noticed in this team is you have a lot of players from last season's team returning. What are some of the areas that you have seen improve the most throughout the summer camps, workouts, and days leading up to Thursday's game?
I think our O-line has done a tremendous job in the offseason getting prepared. I think we're going to be much improved there. I think we're going to be able to run the ball very significantly or successfully throughout the season. I think that's just been a huge pickup. We're actually pretty young offensively, too. We're only going to start 3 seniors offensively. All those veterans are on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys do in their senior years.
Coach, tell us about the vibe around Ironwood football and the excitement around the student body and the faculty there at Ironwood, and how many people you expect to turn out at the game on Thursday night. I think we're going to have a pretty good crowd on hand for this game.
Yeah, we always travel well. The Ironwood community itself is one of the most supportive communities I've been around in my probably almost 20 years now of coaching. They do a great job of rallying behind the kids and the team in general. I think we'll pack the visiting stands and bring a real rowdy attitude to Trevor Brown.
Cavante, I wanted to ask you about your track and field, your career so far there. Last season, you ran the 100, the 200, the 4x1s, and the 4x4s. Are you going to run those again this year?
Yes, sir. That is the plan.
Okay.
I hope to continue to do that because not only does it give me something to do in the off season, but it improves my ability as an athlete and what I can do on the field for my teammates.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. What has your track and field? What have those experiences done to translate and move over to you being a better athlete? But I guess you just already answered it. But if you want to talk a little bit more about it, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's just better stamina. Just it helped a lot with my explosiveness and just ability to outrun anyone I want to outrun. Keep it simple.
Cavante, Ironwood had 7 rushing touchdowns last year. You had 6 of them at that running back position. Now with you transitioning to the quarterback position, how do you expect to use your speed and agility that you showed so promptly last year for not just Thursday night, but for the rest of the season?
As we take a look at here, some highlights from Cavante's season last year where he played wide receiver. And probably, I imagine you play a little defense, don't you, Cavante? Do you have him in at defense at all, Coach?
Yeah, he's gonna play some corner for us. He's been doing a really good job there, and looking forward to seeing that. So he didn't get to play much defense last year because our secondary was pretty veteran heavy, but we had turnover there, so he's gonna step right in.
Coach, you had the honor of making Cavante one of the team captains. It takes a lot of work and a lot of desire and a lot of work to become one of the team captains. They've got to impress you to the point where you can't help but put that CO on your jersey. What have you seen from Cavante that you were able to name him one of the team captains? That's a special honor for him to be named the team captain.
Yeah, he has the respect of all his teammates, and they're the ones who named him captain. They all voted for him and our 3 other captains for that matter. So they all have done a good job of earning everybody's respect. But just the maturity he has as a junior, asking him, hey, step out of your comfort zone, play quarterback that you're not comfortable doing yet, and how he's embraced that challenge. It shows what a competitor he is. He takes control of the huddle both on the field and is in control and has a great attitude off the field too. He's just a guy that's easy to follow.
Coach, what kind of?
You were the lead.
Go ahead, buddy.
No, go ahead, James.
Go ahead, Park.
Cavante, you rushed 6 touchdowns out of the team's 7 last season, but now you're transitioning, of course, to the quarterback position, like we already talked about a couple of times tonight. How do you expect to use the speed and agility that you have, and as we're seeing right now, for not just to Thursday night's game, but for the rest of the season?
So it's not I'm that way. I'm not the only like offensive asset, offensive like danger threat. Because if I spread the ball out, it allows my other teammates to get the open yards. It opens up plays for me, opens up plays for them. It works out all around.
Coach, we're looking forward to a fantastic game on Thursday night as you guys head over and battle the Trevor Brown Bruins. First question on that is there a rivalry possibly brewing between you guys? And if it is, if Trevor G. Brown is not your big rival, then who is for the Ironwood Eagles?
I wouldn't say we're at rivalry stage yet, but we could be gaining on that. A lot of our guys know each other. I know a couple of my linemen work with a couple of their guys. So there's a little jabbing going back and forth there. So it kind of creates that little bit of a rivalry. But I mean, as far as getting a consistent rival, the way the schedules work out and kind of roll over every 2 years, it's hard to have that team that's a consistent rival. I know one that we kind of look to play is a district school. We play Kellis almost every year. That's usually a pretty big game for us because we're in the same district, and so they're coached well. So we like to play them too. It's kind of a big game for us as well.
Cavante, you lost 1 fumble all season last season. That's phenomenal to go through 12 games and only lose 1 fumble. Talk about the importance of being smart with the football and not turning it over, especially at that quarterback position where everybody on defense is keying for you and coming after you. The importance of maintaining the football and not turning it over hopefully for you on a weekly basis.
I mean, turnovers are that's what kills offenses. You could have the greatest drive ever, and then one turnover, and it's all gone. So that's why I prioritize ball carrying, even if that means I'm not getting that many yards, but we still have control of the ball. That's what's most important.
Coach, last season you guys lost the opening game of the season to Trevor Brown 23-18. How have you seen your guys, maybe mood change, their attitude change, and not just wanting to get the first win of the season, but also the first road win against a team that you guys lost to last year?
This team, the big mood change and attitude change is how much this team rallies around each other. We're in practice. The attitudes are different. They pick each other up. They're loud. They're rambunctious, which is something I haven't seen in the past from Ironwood teams. And they really support and push each other. If somebody makes a mistake, the teammate's the first one to go over there, pick them up, pat them on the back, and say, "You're going to do better next time." I think the biggest difference this year is the fact that we don't dwell on things we do wrong. We pick each other up and press on.
Coach, we thank you so much for your time tonight, and thank you, Cavante, as well, for joining us here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. We look forward to the game coming up this Thursday night as you guys battle the Trevor G. Brown Bruins. It should be a fun one. Pregame is on the air at 6:30 p.m., and we are live with kickoff between the Ironwood Eagles and the Trevor G. Brown Bruins at 7 p.m. And, Coach, I got to tell you, Ironwood High School, it holds a special place for me because I don't even know if Ed realizes this, but the first game we called together like 4 years ago was on the steps outside of that press box there at Ironwood High School, and that's where we really made a connection. And I said, man, we got to do more football. Right. And then the next year we were doing the Wranglers and doing Thursday night football and all that stuff. So every time I think of Ironwood, I definitely have fond memories. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having us on, and we look forward to it as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about that? Coach Stillings and Cavante Paul joining us from the Ironwood Eagles. They will battle the Trevor G. Brown Bruins at Trevor Brown on Thursday night. We'll be on the air on CW7 Arizona at 6:30 p.m. with our pregame show, and then we kick it off for another edition of Thursday Night Kickoff at 7 p.m. Stay with us. We'll be back here for more of the Desert Gridiron Game Plan, and we will visit with the Trevor G. Brown's Bruins, Coach Rangel and Rayvonte Hill will join us after the break. Stay with us.
Have you had the craving for the best burrito anywhere? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Come on in.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Burrito Express.
With 7 Valley locations and a new South Chandler location opening soon, your new favorite burrito is just right around the corner. Burrito Express, a proud supporter of Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona.
Welcome you back to the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. James Poovey coming to you live here on the Epic Sports Network alongside my broadcast partners, Mr. Ed Cole and Parker Gurash. Guys, great to visit with the Ironwood Eagles. And next up, it is the Trevor G. Brown Bruins. I'm excited for this Thursday night game.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. As you mentioned, Park, their coach may say that they're not brewing a rivalry, but I kind of think it is. You know, it's just going to go back and forth. These teams play each other every year, so it's naturally just going to turn into a rivalry.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. A lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And with Trevor Brown winning last year on Ironwood's home turf, I feel like Ironwood's going to try and bounce back and get that win on Trevor Brown's field.
Well, we're excited to bring them on. Coach Rangel and Rayvonte Hill join us here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Gentlemen, how are you? There you are.
Hey, we're having some technical issues. We're now on my cell phone.
Oh, you're good. Is there any way you could possibly turn your phone and give us that widescreen look?
Like I need to get any wider. All right. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
No problem. No problem.
That way? Oh, there we go. That worked.
That's the
There it
ticket.
is.
Now we can
That's
see
better.
the Trevor
There
G.
you go.
Brown logo. It's
There
all
we
about
go.
branding, Coach. You know how it is.
Yeah, I got the,
Oh, you're looking good. I like it. We are appreciative of you guys having us out once again. This will be our second visit to Trevor G. Brown in the same number of years. We were out there in 2022, and we're excited to welcome the Ironwood Eagles to the Thursday night football party. But, Coach, just tell us about the last portion of your offseason and how excited you guys are. This is your season opener coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, we've been since the first day of spring semester have been in workouts, and then that just carried over into summer, just like it always does. And now it's here. We're just excited. We've been waiting. I feel like every year it's like you get more and more excited about every senior class, but this was the class where it was coming off COVID, so they got a full freshman year, and you're talking about 8, 9 guys right now who dressed on varsity, with Ray being a 4-year varsity player, not only for football, but for basketball as well. So, I mean, time's gone fast. As excited as I am for game one, I get a little sad just knowing that my time is ticking with these guys. They've been some people I've really relied on and, just grown to love as human beings. And I'm really proud of them. And I can't wait to see what's next for them.
Rayvonte, it looks like the entire defense is coming back from last season. You guys played really well last year. Obviously, you had an incredible season, 76 tackles, 21 and a half TFLs, 12 sacks. We can talk about you ad nauseum, but talk about the entire defense and you guys coming back to run it back one more season and the familiarity and just the bond and the brotherhood that you guys are building on that defensive side of the football.
Well, like most importantly, half of the guys on the team, we've been through middle school together, some of elementary school together. So our 2 safeties, our linebacker, one of our edge, another linebacker, we've all been to the same school since like grade school. So like we know each other all. And being that we've been here 4 years with the other corners and the other guys on the team, like it just makes it to where like if we didn't have a play call, if we don't know what's going on, we still know that we could rely on each other. And that trust it allows us to like build, and it allows us to be like, okay, like I made a mistake. I know my brother got my back. You know what I'm saying?
Rayvonte, 12 sacks is what you had last season, which got you in the top 25 in Arizona in that category. Where does the explosiveness come from while on the line that has made you such a dangerous player at that defensive lineman and linebacker position?
I say the explosion just comes from repetition. I mean, you have workouts and you weight lift, but outside of weightlifting, do you go run hills? Do you do resistance training? It's just the simple things that if people took a little step forward, you would see the difference in the game. So I feel like the explosion has not only came from summer workouts and the workouts that Coach Rinaldi put us through, but from the off season and working with the guys on my defense and the guys on my offense.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, tell us about the continuity on the coaching staff. I think that has a lot to do with your recent success over the past couple of seasons. Talk about those guys that you go to work with every single day. It's hot outside. Everybody's sweating, but you guys really have a bond, and I think that's part of what makes you guys a really good team there at Trevor G. Brown.
Yeah, I think for me, how do I say this? This is the first year where I feel like we've had a lot of coaching turnover. Guys had different obligations, but I mean, Coach Eberhardt, similar to Coach Prairie, like we grew up together, so he's been here every year, every step of the way. There's not a job he doesn't do. If you asked our kids right now, his thumbs are raw for doing on all the decals, so they're done right. But, Coach Parker's here on year 2, Coach Simick's on year 2. Coach Flesher, he's our new varsity linebacker coach. He was our freshman coach for the last 3 years as the head guy, and then Coach Boyd's a new coach. So I think the good part, just top to bottom, is we have our core principles of what I'm looking for a coach. So when these guys come in, we're not asking them to, hey, you got to change all this stuff. No, you need to just kind of feel our kids out, let them feel you out, because once our kids know that you love them, they'll do anything for you. So but obviously, like I said, for me it's a huge luxury. I've surrounded myself with the best people. I've always been, I guess, lucky that way with the people I've had around me, and that was even when I was Ray age to even college. And it's huge because I can trust these guys with anything I know is going to get done right.
Coach, let's talk about that QB position. Last season, you split it between Andrew Romero and Nico Alvarez for the most part all season. Now Kenyon Hale's going to take over at that quarterback position. What have you seen from Kenyon that you hand over the reins to him to be QB1? What do you like from Kenyon? What have you seen from him in the offseason, and how excited are you for him to get it going on Thursday night against Ironwood?
Kenyon's been great. I think he really got the team to back him. I think our receivers are one of the biggest advocates, like coach. We're all who's the quarterback, who's the quarterback, can Kenyon really do it? But Kenyon he doesn't say much of anything. He is just super laid back. But he throws a really good football. He sees the field very well. I'll say amongst all the other quarterbacks we've had, I thought the way he processes information has been really, really impressive. But he's earned it. He has never backed down from a challenge. He is about the team, and he knows we have some talent returning on the outside where his job is like just get it to him quick and let them do their thing. So I'm really excited for Kenyon's first start here. I think we have big plans for this week.
Coach, you finished out your final 2 games of last season, winning 60-10 over South Mountain and then 45-31 over Fairfax. When you look ahead to Thursday night, what can we expect out of your guys on the season opener?
I think you'll see an offensive line unit that is nowhere near as bad as they were last year. I thought those guys felt like a lot of our woes offensively were on them. I think they really committed to getting bigger, faster, stronger. You heard Ray talk about, guys are running hills. Well, it wasn't just Ray out there running hills. The linemen are taking time to go run hills and get extra work in. It was making tweaks offensively to fit our personnel. I think in high school coaching, you can never have the idea that you can do everything the same. You have to accommodate to your personnel, and, we're just excited. I think we have a lot of returners on both sides, and, we're just here to say, like, our whole thing offensively is like, what are teams going to say about us this year? Because last year it was just, we can just blitz 4 and we'll get there, no problem. Now it's like, okay, when teams see us, are we slinging it over the yard, or are we getting downhill running? But our guys will determine what our identity is. My job is just to make sure that we put them in a position to be successful, just as all our coaches. So just really excited for Thursday.
Coach, guys have been in the offseason for, let's face it, over 8 months now since you guys last played a football game. Has there been anyone that has stood out that maybe you weren't really expecting, that was maybe really working hard in winter workouts, or just put their nose to the grindstone every single day, and then they come out and you put the pads on, you finally get to practice, and you say, man, I knew that guy was going to light it up. I could just tell.
I wish I could say there was a guy that we didn't know, but when I tell you our core guys have been here since day one, it's really hard to say, oh, this new guy. Like, I can't think of anybody that wasn't here last year on varsity that is a big time player for us. Like, I think we've added some guys, that are maybe, we got a couple transfers that we're excited about. But the good part is when we got these transfers, it was like, we just can't wait till week 6 to get them. No, it's like we've had guys, if I were to give 2, I would say our 2 running backs, Chris Green and Courtney Pennington. I thought their off season was successful. I thought they really kind of bought into how we want to run the football. And the good part is they're really good friends. They're always laughing and joking. They get excited when they're making good plays. But, for me, that's what I keep telling you is like, we're getting to our first game, and the guys I've been leaning on are really been leading the charge. So, there's a lot of seniors that are going to be making plays. I think this is the first year we don't have a sophomore starting game 1. Or that's a lie. We do have one sophomore that we plan on starting. Everybody else is a returning either junior or senior who started.
Ray, I wanted to ask you about the other linebackers you're lining up with in that 3-4 defense. Of course, Damian Gallegos, you guys had a great 1-2 punch last season. Miguel Carrillo, Jarrell Perry. Talk about those 3 guys that you're going to line up with on Thursday night, and hopefully for the duration of the season. What do those 3 guys mean to you, and how have been practices been, and how's your bond and your brotherhood working with those 3 gentlemen as you're working to be 4 strong linebackers this year?
I mean, honestly, like, what is there not to say? We all know Damien, linebacker for 3 years, basically 4 on varsity. and he moves to outside, he moves to inside, he's finding success either or, all conference kid. Miguel Carrillo, that's the linebacker that I've been going to middle school with since I was a little kid. He played the D line with me last year. He switched to linebacker with me. We're like this. If he doesn't know what he's doing, I help him. If I don't know what I'm doing, we help each other. So that brotherhood in there, like we know we have the inside. Joe, he has all the athleticism and everything that we need on the edge in the world. And I just wish, like, I can't wait till game one so like everyone can see that our core, you can't just run the ball anymore. It's that simple.
Ray, when you look at how you play and the trajectory that you've had in your 3 years, and this could be your 4th year playing varsity, has there been anyone on the film side, either in the pros or the college, that you model your game after? You love watching guys. I could see a Fred Warner in you a bit with how explosive you can come off the line, but also cover in that middle area. But for you, is there anybody that you appreciate in the league or in college that you try to model your game after?
Well, obviously, everyone takes things from every single different scenario, but I wouldn't say there's one person. When I was a D lineman, watching film was so critical because the simplest things matters. Your first step, it matters so much. You gotta gain ground. So you would watch people that are super explosive, like Aaron Donald or like edge rushers, and as a linebacker, you do the same exact thing. Like as a linebacker, studying film is one of the most important things in my opinion. So I feel like it's not a specific player that I would try to model my game after, but I would say there's specific things that each linebacker does differently that I can take away from them and try my best to perfect.
Coach, tell us about the excitement around the campus for the football team and the upcoming game on Thursday and the upcoming season as a whole.
You know, it is. I think it's building. I give a huge credit to our athletic director, our new one, Miss Bowman. I feel like she is doing a lot to showcase all the work these guys have been doing. Like we're doing a fall media day tomorrow, and then we have you guys coming out Thursday or CW7. And I think our kids. The good part is it goes back to our senior class. These guys have been dressing for varsity since their freshman year, and all these teachers and these guys like, man, you're playing again this year. So I think the excitement's there. You know, we really just believe in the fact that it's becoming. We'll never be soccer here. I always know soccer is king, but when people think of our football program, they run a good program. They're going to be competitive game in, game out, and when you come out there, you're going to see good football being played.
Coach, along with that excitement, looking at your schedule, so your first 3 games are at home. So you got to hold serve at home because 4 of the next 5 after that are away from home. So if you can keep that momentum going, if it works out for you on Thursday night, get those first 3 games or how many of those you can get. But yeah, talk about those first 3 games at home and the importance of getting off to a fast start, considering you're going to hit the road. You're going to be road warriors for about 4 of the next 5 weeks after that.
Honestly, I think we're all shocked we have home games. 4 years? This is the first time we open up at home, and you know, as much as I want to look ahead, I got to focus on Ironwood. Everything they're doing offensively with Cavante, Paul now at quarterback is dangerous. They have a massive 3-tech that's playing running back too, as we saw in the scrimmage. I got to just focus on game one. We got to focus on game one because that is a much improved football team who's hungry, who should feel like we squeaked one out, and damn, we did. Like we did a lot. We did a lot to try to lose that game towards the end last year. So my sole focus is being 1-0 Thursday, and I know it ain't gonna come easy.
Coach Francisco Rangel and Ravante Hill joining us here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you at your house again on Thursday night. And don't forget that pep rally on Thursday morning. The students and the players, you guys are going to have a fantastic time. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And we'll see you on Thursday.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
That was Coach Francisco Rangel and Ravante Hill joining us from the Trevor G. Brown Bruins. Guys, always great to visit with those Bruins. And next up, we got a special guest joining us. Former Arizona coach Ty Wisdom joins us as a member of Millard South. He's been the head man there. This is going into his 2nd year, and he is bringing his football team down here to South Chandler this week to battle the Basha Bears. We're also going to talk with Coach Chris McDonald and Gio Richardson when we return here on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Stay with us.
Have you had the craving for the best burrito anywhere? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Come on in.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Burrito Express.
With 7 Valley locations and a new South Chandler location opening soon, your new favorite burrito is just right around the corner. Burrito Express, a proud supporter of Thursday Night Kickoff on CW7 Arizona.
Recognize the soldiers before you for the successful completion of their basic training. This time, we would like the family members and loved ones to move forward and put on your soldiers' Army 1-Star badge.
Proud of you. We welcome you back to the Desert Gridiron Gameplan. James Poovey coming to you live here alongside my broadcast partners, Mr. Ed Cole and Parker Gurash. Gentlemen, unfortunately, Millard South not able to join us tonight. Partly my fault. I thought they were in the central time zone there in Omaha, but apparently they're in the eastern time zone and they're 2 hours ahead of us. So unfortunately, they're not able to join us. But we're going to wish them well in their game on Friday night, and we're hoping to have Coach Chris McDonald and Gio Richardson joining us here in just a little bit from the Basha Bears. But this is going to be an exciting game on Friday. Basha hosting Millard South, and as we know, Coach Ty Wisdom, former head coach at Desert Vista and Horizon.
Yeah, and it's a homecoming of sorts for him. Coach Wisdom, he's from Lexington, Nebraska, so you can kind of see the lineage and the desire for him that maybe get back home, get back a little bit closer to Lexington, get back to Millard South, and that's an excellent football program that he's building out there. They were 10-2 last season, made a deep playoff run, and I know he was excited when the offer came. However, the situation worked out. If we can get Coach McDonald on, we can ask him about how this game came to be. But Millard South and Basha should be a really great game come Friday night. I'm really excited about that, Park. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're 100% on the money, Ed. I mean, what Coach Wisdom has been able to do his first season 6-5, and then 10-2. He's had a lot of great talent come out of that high school. And the wide receiver we were going to interview led the state in receiving yards last year, 1,086 yards. He's being recruited by a lot of Big 10 schools, Big 12 schools like Kansas State, Illinois, and Iowa, and I'm sure there's many more that are going to be on the way. I see as just a junior, but it's going to be a great game between the two because we know Basha and how they are. The amount of talent that has come out of that high school, I think, is one of the top tier ones in the state throughout the last 4 years. I think you guys can both agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a whole new crop of kids are coming from that South Chandler area with a chip on their shoulder after last year's semifinal loss in the Open.
And JP, let me piggyback off of that. Just to throw out this number, I want to throw out this number because I told it to you guys before we went on the air, and you were flabbergasted like I was. Millard South's defense had 187 TFLs last season, to go with 37 sacks and 9
You
interceptions.
said 187?
187. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
187 TFLs. That's why they made a deep run in the playoffs last year, and they won 10 out of 12 games, primarily because their defense is great and their offense scored almost 40 points a game. And Park, you talked about Amarion Jackson. Hopefully, we're saying his first name right. Almost 1,100 yards. You talked about 12 touchdowns. What a great football program that Coach Wisdom is building out there. And yes, that's going to be a fantastic game out there in Basha, JP.
You talk about Amarion Jackson. This young man is absolutely nothing short of stellar. You talk about putting up some numbers. He knows how to do it. He catches the ball all over the football field. And I was excited to visit with him tonight, but hopefully we'll be able to catch up with them very soon. But he's going to give that Basha defensive backfield a workout on Friday night.
I mean, yeah, just look at him, Park, out there in the flat. When he gets the football, he has this great decision-making skills. And when he's a guy that talented and that quick and that elusive is out there in the flat, he's catching a punt return right here, and I'll bet he houses it. Or he's going to make a crazy run back there. This kid is just electric. Look at electrifying. Is he going to run it back? Like I said, yep. Off to the races. My gosh, that is just God-given talent. It is amazing to see these young folks, Parker, just do amazing things. He's out there, just all the way out there. He's running the inside route, catches the football. Man, what a great young man right there. Just that's going to be an exciting game for, as you mentioned, that defense is going to be severely tested. Though that Bears defense, Parker, man, they're going to have a time trying to account for this young man.
Yeah, I think the one thing we got to keep in mind is Basha, and there's a reason they are so highly respected throughout the state, and it seems like throughout the country in these last couple of years. You've had guys like Miles Lockhart and Cole Martin come out of there on the defensive side. You had Damon Williams, Deshaun Buchanan, James Duran on the offensive line. And it seems also, and I know you guys can agree because this is something we're hopefully going to be working on in the future, every top team in Arizona seems to have taken on this Arizona versus everybody mentality. So I don't think any high school out here is afraid of any top team from around the country. We're going to see a lot of out-of-state teams come and play. I know Liberty, I think, is believed to be playing Corona Centennial. Desert Edge, I think, could be playing someone. I might be wrong by that. Don't quote me. But every team in here feels like they deserve to be nationally ranked out here in Arizona. And I'm very excited to see how both of these teams can come out, especially in the desert on Friday night.
You meet a JP.
There we go. It's so funny, Park, that you mentioned Arizona versus everybody, because that's what we've been working on for a couple of years here at the Epic Sports Network, and I think we're going to finally get it done next fall. We're going to have a couple of games out at Mountain Point High School on about the last Saturday in August, and we're going to feature a few out-of-state teams battling some Arizona teams. So I've already got a couple of teams in mind. If you are up for the challenge, you want to play some of the best in high school football in the United States of America, I'm talking about IMG Academy, St. Francis Academy, Mater Dei out in California. I could go on and on. Teddy Bridgewater's team down there in South Florida wants to come on. So if you guys are up for the challenge, make sure you let us know so we can book some games on that Friday night too. But we're going to try to do this thing on Saturday and make it a 2-game festival type thing. We're going to get some food trucks, and I think everyone would have a wonderful time. Don't you guys?
Yeah, that'd be great. Man, Parker, what if we could schedule 4 games? That'd be great if we could do 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. JP, you mentioned just the limitless amount of talent this country has to offer. And we could, I mean, goodness gracious, we could play 2 games every day of that week and still not have a shortage of talent to trot out there. My goodness.
Yeah, I think also the thing, too, that we've seen, especially in the last, I believe since like 2022, a lot of 5A schools have begun to just sprout out of nowhere. I know Desert Mountain has been brewing for years with a ton of talent, but last year they were the only 5A team to make it into the Open State Championship playoff. Then you got Desert Edge. Notre Dame Prep's always solid. You got teams, that whole region that Desert Mountain is in with Higley and Horizon. That's probably the most dangerous and lethal region in the state. But there's so many 6A schools. You got Highland coming up now. Centennial is back. And then, of course, you got the Chandler, Hamilton, and Bashas of the world. But whatever could happen next year, I think it's going to be fun. But I'm excited for this season with you guys. And I think definitely a 2-game on one day a double header type feel would be definitely fun to see.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to make it happen. I got some teams that are already interested. Just need to confirm a few things. We might be broadcasting on Flow Football as well. So stay tuned. There's a lot of things exciting going on here at the Epic Sports Network. And I wanted to ask you guys one more question as we await the Bash of Bears. They'll be coming on here with us in just a little bit. Coach Chris McDonald and Gio Richardson joining us here tonight on the program. With the advent of the Open Division, it's been, I want to say this is the third or fourth year of the Open. And we've seen, you mentioned the improvement in the 5A. I mean, there are just some juggernaut regions in 5A Arizona high school football. How much do you think the advent of the Open Division has improved those, I don't want to say lower division teams, but lower than 6A division teams?
I think it has. I mean, just look at the playoffs last season. You got Hamilton and Liberty, Highland, Chandler, all these teams you just mentioned, Parker. Desert Mountain, Centennial went at it last season. Then, of course, Liberty would end up winning the Open state title over Centennial. They beat them by 12 last December. But it is just that that group of high-level talent, and it, as you mentioned, it just trickles down to every other section, 6A, 5, 4, 3, 2, just all throughout, up and down those sections. But yeah, it does start with that open section with these high-powered, strong football teams, and it just continues to just trickle itself down as far as the talent and the opportunities for these other football teams to show themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to bounce off you. I think also the resurgence of the transfer portal, as we've seen in college football, has definitely trickled its way down to high school football, and it's happened in a big way here in Arizona. I believe Richard Olbert had an article where it's like 50 kids are going to be talking to the AIA to possibly get accepted instead of wait those 5 games. But you've seen maybe the crop of talent where kids might not have gotten a shot at let's say a Basha, and he'll go to a 5A school in that same region still and be able to play. I think you've seen a lot of that. We saw Mountain Point get a ton of kids. Saguaro had a ton of kids last year as well, transfer in and out, and it was a whole thing. But I think with the transfer portal, it's definitely helped broaden the competition level. It's not just so top heavy anymore. It seems like, even though the Open will always be run by the 6A, you're going to have teams in that 5A, in that 4A that are definitely going to be able to compete on any given week with any given team.
Absolutely.
Well, we are pleased now to be joined.
What do you think about it, JP?
Well, I think it's definitely played into it. I mean, coaches obviously, I would think every coach wants to beat they want to be the best, so they're willing to be able to beat the best. And some of these 4A teams that have gotten close to getting in the 4A or in the Open Division the last couple of years, they were really solid football teams. Unfortunately, not able to hang with some of the 6A and then 6A Premier Region teams. But I definitely think it's made a lot of players step up and play better football. And I think they're paying attention to what that better football is. They're watching more of these other teams play and how they do things and how they run their program. And I think that all plays into it, honestly. So let's go ahead and bring on Coach Chris McDonald and Gio Richardson from the Bash of Bears. Coach McDonald is coming on here with us. Coach, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we'll bring Gio in here in just a second. But tell us about your offseason and the expectations out there in South Chandler.
Well, I mean, the expectations don't change. You know, we want to win the Premier Region, then obviously compete for an Open State Championship. And I think that's, the kids worked hard all offseason. You ask about that. I really like this group. They've kind of playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they want to kind of prove people wrong. We've had some good seniors that obviously graduated and moved on to the next level, and now it's kind of a new chapter we talk about in Basham football, and we got a lot of kids that are pretty hungry to kind of show what they can do.
Coach, of course, losing Damon Williams Jr., one of the best athletes in this state and across the entire country, not just Arizona. Losing him, I'm sure that's a big loss. How are you replacing Damon at the quarterback position? Who are you liking at QB1 come Friday night?
Brody Veers will be the starter this Friday against Millard South, and he was our JV starter last year. He had a good competition with Hayden Rodriguez, who is a senior this year and was one of the backups for Damon. It's one of those situations where we feel real comfortable with Brody. He's got some good leadership skills. He's kind of got confidence in himself, good football IQ. The kids kind of gravitate around him, and so he's going to get that shot, the first shot to kind of lead the offense and lead the team. You can never replace somebody like Damon, and I know Brody. He's a different type of player, different type of QB than D is, and he's got some great tools as well. And I don't think that he, feels the pressure of trying to take over for somebody like Damon. He just wants to kind of show what he can do.
Coach, there's no question the amount of talent that's come out of Basha in the last 4 to 5 years with guys like Andrell Barney, James Durant on the O-line, Deshaun Buchanan, Damon, like you were just talking about, Miles, and I'm sure the list can go on and on. With all of those guys gone, though, and the new crop of talent that you have, that you've talked about a bit, leading this team, how have you seen the preparation be this summer compared to the years past?
Honestly, I think it's been a lot of the same. Those guys were obviously not only good football players, right? But they were great people off the field. They were great teammates, and they kind of set a standard. And so you have guys that have been in the program for a couple of years that kind of saw how it's done, and how those guys prepared themselves. And honestly, it's just kind of an expectation every year now. The kids know that this is kind of how you do things if you want to be. If you want to be the best and you want to make a legacy.
We're joined also by Gio Richardson from the Basha Bears, and Gio, one of the studs Coach McDonald's has over there off of Val Vista. Gio, what is it like to play for Coach Chris McDonald, and how has he made you not only a better football player but a better person as well?
This is hard with Coach Mac. I was talking about can't complain about the heat because it's always hot. But he's a great coach. He's always going to push us to be the best player and the best man we could be on and off the field. So all we can ask for a coach.
Gio, I want to ask you about your kickoff returns and how important special teams will be to the success of this football team this year. Of course, you had two kickoff returns last season. You took a 99-yarder to the house. Speak on special teams and just what that third aspect of a football team and how important it is. As we're going to check this. This might be this is not the 99-yarder, but I'm sure this is probably the other one you took back to the house. But yeah, talk about your special teams and how important this will be to this Basha Bears football team.
It's very important for Basha. We do it every practice, and we treat it as one of the most important things. That's how we start the drive off. So, I mean, if we could get yards off that, it helps the offense, and if we can stop yards on that, it helps the defense. So.
Gio, you are clearly one of the most talented players in the state, being ranked 12th right now after a very productive season. What can we expect from you this year with how big of a threat you are on the offensive side of the ball?
Hopefully another big year. I mean, I have a goal of 15,000 this year, so all purpose. So hopefully I could reach that goal and just help out my team to win state this year.
Coach, what is it like to have a guy like this on your football team that you can count on play after play, week after week, and what does he mean to the Basha Bears, Gio Richardson?
Well, he means a lot. He's a great young man. He's a great ambassador for the program. Like he sets a really good example for a lot of the kids on the team on how to prepare. One of the questions you guys asked, and I think the biggest thing too, like. He's you could put him anywhere and he's going to succeed. He's just one of those guys like he's going to find a way to get the job done and do it at a high level, no matter what position he's playing. I mean, he's a really good defensive back as well. We've kind of kept him on the offensive side of the ball, just because he's so explosive, but he would be an all-state defensive back if he played defense too. I mean, he's just that type of football player. A lot of people talk about, he gets a lot of publicity about being the top kick returner in the state. I think he's the top receiver in the state. I'd take him over anybody else. And that's my opinion, might be biased, but that's just kind of how I feel. But he's just one of those guys, and the kids respect him a ton. He comes to practice every time with a great attitude, works his tail off. Isn't really a prima donna. will do the dirty work. He's a complete football player.
Coach, Friday night's game is going to be really cool. Millard South is coming in. Ty Wisdom is coming back in town. He's making his return. Tell us how this game came about, the origins, and how Millard South came to end up playing Basha on Friday night at your place.
Well, Ty and I, obviously, you talked about he was a head coach out here. He was at Horizon, and then he was at Desert Vista, and we kind of befriended each other in the coaching world, at certain functions and whatnot. And when he went back home to Omaha, which is kind of where he's originally from, we always kind of talked about maybe playing each other at some point, just because it's kind of fresh and kind of new. There's not a lot of there's a lot of out-of-state games that are always being played, but not necessarily between Nebraska team and an Arizona team. And I think that Ty, look, he's a smart coach. He's a smart guy. I know that, because I'm a personal friend of his, and he's not going to, he knows the landscape out here in Arizona. He's not going to fly a team, 1,300 miles to come out here if he didn't think that he could compete at a very high level, and so. He obviously feels he's got the team to do that. And so we made it work, and we look forward to going out there next year.
Gio, you recently committed to the University of Arizona after a handful of other schools like ASU, Kansas State, and Boise State were after you. Why was it Arizona for you at the end of the day?
Just the connection I have with the coaches up there. Coach Bobby's a great coach and a great guy to be around. So the connection is like my biggest thing, which helped me go that way with U of A. So,
Coach, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned the friendship between you and Coach Wisdom. Unfortunately, we weren't able to connect with Millard South tonight. We're going to have them on the show, but it didn't work out. But we're looking forward to seeing them on Thursday or on Friday night as they battle the Basha Bears. But has he given you any indication on the biggest difference between Nebraska high school football and what goes on here in Arizona?
Not from like a football standpoint, I think he's trying to put Millard South on the map and from a national standpoint. They lost in the semis last year like we did, and I think he's got a really good team this year to kind of make a run at their version of the gold ball, if you will. I think what he's trying to do is just kind of put Omaha on the map, and he's got a really successful program. He's got kids that want to be part of it from other parts of Omaha that want to come in and be part of his program. And so, I think that he feels that maybe Arizona, and again, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but he probably feels that he wants to do the same thing in Nebraska that's happening here in Arizona, and get kind of build Omaha into what kind of Arizona is, and get a lot more of those schools kind of playing a national schedule, and it starts somewhere, and I think he's trying to be the leader of that.
Coach, I want to ask you about Eli Cronin, number 44, your junior linebacker. Had a phenomenal season last year. Led the team in tackles, 114, 11 TFLs, 3 sacks, 12 QBHs. He just lit up the score sheet with every stat pretty much imaginable, and an interception. What do you like? What do you like about Eli coming into this season, and can you see him improving on what he did last season and going above and beyond what he did last season?
Oh, absolutely. Like Eli is kind of still new to football. He played his 8th grade year. He was a running back mainly, and it was a running back as a freshman as well. Played both ways, as a freshman. So fantastic athlete. Plays baseball as well for the school, for Basha, varsity, and he's fairly. And I think he's been a baseball player kind of his whole life, So he's fairly new to it, and then. We had Jack Blyer last year, was a captain. He was obviously one of our defensive leaders, and I felt one of the better linebackers in the state. When he went down with that knee injury, like Eli kind of, he had to step up really quick, and kind of be the captain of that defense. And so yeah, the potential is, and he hasn't even scratched the surface of his ceiling, because, like I said, he's still fairly new to football in comparison to other kids his age, and so. He's a sponge for it. He loves it. He's got the right mind frame for it. He's a great kid. He's a great teammate, and he's, his next step in progression is to make those around him better. And that's what he's doing. He's going to have a huge year this year.
Coach, there's no question your team plays with a certain swagger and confidence to them every time they step out on the court. Doesn't matter who they're playing against. Does that trickle down to the coaching staff as well? And that you guys have a certain confidence every time you step up onto the field? And can we see a little bit, is there going to be a little bit of swagger to the coaching staff this year on the sidelines?
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say as coaches, we have a ton of swag. I mean, we're just ball coaches. That's what we are, but at the same time, there's a fine balance between having swag and then being a little too much. And, the kids will hear from me when it is, but we're also not going to be the swag police. I want our kids to have fun and to express themselves and whatnot, but they understand that, at the end of the day, whatever they're doing, if it hurts the team, we talk about that all the time. If it's something that's going to, hurt the team in terms of the ultimate goal, which is to win a ball game, they're going to hear about it. And I think a lot of them do a really good job of understanding that. And they're still kids and we want to make the experience fun for them. So I don't want to say it comes from the coaches. I mean, these kids, they're around a lot of this stuff that I don't even know about, so.
It sure is different than back in the day when we played, isn't it, Coach? I wanted to ask you, definitely not the first time that the Basha Bears have taken on an out-of-state opponent, a quality out-of-state opponent. What is your mindset in regards to that? And do you feel like it should happen more often, some of these schools getting some interstate competition and kind of seeing what else is out there and challenging themselves a lot of times?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's the whole goal. That was, Coach Wisdom and myself, that was our goal, was to set each other up first game and kind of hope to propel into the season. It's a lot of money though, to go out of state or whatnot, and typically when you sign up with somebody, or have an agreement to it's usually a home and home, right? So, there's a lot of work by a lot of different people to make that happen. Booster clubs are getting involved. Kids are fundraising. It's not, it's way more than just a handshake agreement and playing on a Friday night. There's a lot going into it, and some people have more resources than others, and I get that. And so some schools unfortunately aren't in a position where they can do that every single year. I mean, I would say that we're not always in a position to do that every single year. You've got other expenses that are huge in a program. They're a large amount of money as well. But this just so happened this year that we were able to do it, and obviously we've already got a plan forward for next year when we go to Omaha. And we were able to get a game in California. Obviously it's not as far as going 1,300 miles, but in week 4 when we play Mission Viejo, we travel there. That'll be fun. But yeah, I think any chance you can give these kids an experience to do something like that, we talk about it with my kids. A lot of my kids, they want to play at the next level, and so we talk about, hey, this is what it's like. It's a business trip, and this is what it's like, and there's expectations with how you board a bus, how you get off the bus, how you behave in a hotel, how you do all those things that surround going out of town and competing in the game.
Gio, last one from me. Your offense was spectacular last season, one of the best in the country, almost 500 points. This season, how good can the offense be with you in it? Of course, Gio. And here, the other part of this, you only had 5 rushes last season. Can we see you running the football more? I know you caught 55 passes, so you were busy catching footballs, but can we see you maybe get a couple more than 5 rushes this season?
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, I go out there and do what I have to do for our offense and help our offense. We got Coach Felk out there today, this year. So hopefully, he calls some plays and dot some things up or run the ball. Whatever helps our offense.
You guys are blessed, Gio, to have Coach Ryan Felker out there with you. He's former Garden Valley State coach and also spent some time out here as the head coach of the Gila River Hawks of the Hohokam Junior College Athletic Conference. So no doubt he loves those trick plays, Ed, and Coach Felker will have his offense on display this season with the Basha Bears, as you see the chuckle there from Gio.
Yeah, you can tell he's excited. Yeah, look at him.
We so thank these gentlemen for joining us tonight on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Coach Chris McDonald and Gio Richardson joining us from the Basha Bears. Gentlemen, good luck on Friday night. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to catching up with you again. And we look forward to having you on the Arizona versus Everybody tournament next year. That'll happen next August, and Coach, we'll get with you on that and see if we can firm that up shortly, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you for having us on.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
How much fun was that, guys? Gio Richardson and Coach Chris McDonald joining us from the Basha Bears. And how about the job Coach McDonald's done out there with that program?
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, 10-2 last season, undefeated in the 6A Premier. And they're just reloading Parker. They're just ready to go out and wreak even more havoc in the 6A Premier. And just across the entire country with a team from Nebraska coming in here. This team is well known, of course, across the country. This is a premier organization, which is why they're a premier, because they're an outstanding football program and led by Coach McDonald. I can't wait for that game on Friday night. But wow, what a great night we had with 3 talented young athletes and 3 great head coaches.
Yeah, it's going to be another great week here in high school football with all the 4 through 6A schools being able to open their seasons. Bash, like you said, Ed. I mean, this school has produced Division I talent for years and years and years. And I think with now that, like Coach McDonald was talking about, with a little bit of a younger team, a lot of guys saw what it takes to get to the next level because of teammates they've had for the last year or two. They know what it takes, and they want to continue to represent Basha that well. And yeah, I think Millard South, even though we didn't get to talk to Coach Wisdom tonight, I think they're going to put up a great fight. They got an incredible team, a lot of returners as well. And then for Ironwood and Trevor G. Brown, it's going to be a good game. Both of those teams, didn't have, I'm sure they would agree, incredible seasons in their eyes. But with how both of them finished the season, a lot of key players returning for both schools, I think it's going to be a highly competitive game between the two.
Make sure and join us Thursday night on Arizona CW7. We'll be on the air at 6:30 p.m. for our pregame show, and kickoff between the Trevor G. Brown Bruins and the Ironwood Eagles will happen at 7 p.m. Myself, Ed, and Parker will have the call of the game, like I said, live on Arizona CW7 over the air, which will also be available to you on DirecTV, Hulu Plus Live TV, Cox Cable, wherever you get your CW7. We will be on there on Thursday night, and Ed, I'm excited for the game.
Yeah, me too. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to do it up with you two brothers and call some great football. It's going to be fun with the Eagles and the Bruins.
It will be. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Special thanks to our guests as well who joined us from Ironwood High School, Trevor G. Brown, and of course the Basha Bears. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Desert Gridiron Game Plan. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you on Thursday evening.